Hey everybody, what's going on? It's Haws. I just wanted to talk a little bit about Blood Deathknights. I know a lot of people are talking about Blood Deathknights and kind of wondering where they're at. There's a lot of I shouldn't say confusion. There's a lot of mixed feelings about Blood. Personally, I didn't play Blood for Miss Pandaria, so I wasn't in any sort of bad habits. I know that they did make Blood really not that great. So, I just wanted to go over the changes with the Warlords of Dreanor, talk about what I think it is and everything else like that. And I have the Alar mount, the Ashes of Alar, so pretty much whatever I say is 100% correct. You can pretty much count on that. So let's go ahead and get into the talents first off. Now for the first row of talents, just like Unholy, I do pick Plague Leech. I haven't actually tested this in Frost, so keep in mind. But Plague Leech allows you to get, in general, more death coils out. You're getting more blood shields out, and everything else like that. So it's really, really good, especially for an oh shit moment where you need quick snap runes to get a death strike off. So overall, it's not even a question. Plague Leech definitely wins that talent bracket. Now 57, level 57, but the second talent bracket, this is really dependent on fight and you personally. If you personally like Lichborn and like casting death coils on yourself, I would pick Lichborn over Purgatory. Personally, I don't want that DPS loss. I'd like my ability to be more passive in case there was a one-shot mechanic that essentially would have gimped me and I get saved for it. I'd rather Purgatory. And then Anti-Magic Zone I would use if there was no other DK with it to cover any sort of raid-wide cooldown. So that's what you can expect from there. Third row, this one's pretty obvious because the other two talents are more geared for PvP because Chillblains really doesn't apply to most bosses. I guess it would apply to ads, but how often are you kiting ads, right? You have Asphyxiate, which really, in essence, is just a stun for 5 seconds. So, again, how useful is that for a fight? But Death's Advance, you get to move quicker and, get to avoid mechanics quicker. Definitely the better PvE choice, 100%. Now, you look at the third talent. Personally, I'm taking Runic Corruption. I've dabbled with Runic Empowerment. I just don't like Blood Tap. I know a lot of people do, so if you do prefer Blood Tap, it would be totally fine to take. But I personally am just having a great time with the Runic Corruption right now, so we're definitely going to leave it there. So basically, whenever you spend Runic Power, you have a 1.5% chance to actually increase your rune generation rate by 100%. And that's for 3 seconds. So essentially, your runes are going to be regenning really quickly. Plus, with Plague Leech, it's almost no downtime. You almost have, like every global cooldown, you have a button to press. Through tanking, there's been maybe a few dead zones. Not that bad, though. Next is Death Pack. Heals the Death Knight for 50% of the maximum health. Now, you can take Death Siphon, you can take Conversion. I would never take Death Siphon in a raid, just because it would require the rune, and it require having that rune open. Conversion would be the other choice to this. Now, I guess that's personal preference. I personally like the Warlock Stone mechanic, and the fact that they took the pet out, so I don't need a pet to have this out. I can just cast it at any point and not have to worry about macroing it. All the better. So really happy with that. Now, the last talent, and I want to keep in mind that I'm currently on Gorfiend's Grip. Now, I'm on Gorfiend's Grip because I was on a fight that required me to have a certain positioning for the mechanics. But in any other situation, you want to probably take Desecrated Ground in case you get CC'd within a raid and you can instantly pop out and get back to your tanking. So either one's going to do you. The Roamless Winter really isn't that great, so I wouldn't really focus on that for PvE. At least not at the moment. And then the last talent, I can't really get into that. This is all the Warlords of Dreanor talents, so I haven't really tested it, so I don't really want to talk about it too much. And yeah, so again, the same disclaimer as last time. I am in kind of crappy gear, a little bit of Raid Finder. Everything's at least upgraded now. I have some shoulders and some other things. So generally, I'm not as optimized as I should be for blood, especially considering I have DPS trinkets and a lot of my gear is still haste. So haste isn't bad for blood either. Just keep that in mind. Okay guys, so let's go ahead and talk about my glyphs here. My glyphs are fairly simple. There could be better glyphs. I'm not sure, and like the Icebound Fortitude glyph I might actually take. But right now there's no need because we're tearing through content. So right now I have Blood Boil, I have Outbreak, and I have Regen Magic. So my Blood Boil is just going to increase my range. Makes sense why I would want that, so I can pick up more adds whenever I would need to. Outbreak, just so I can have Plague Leech whenever it's off cooldown. And the Glyph of Regenerative Magic, which basically helps out my Anti-Magic shield cooldown, allowing it to come up more. So that's pretty much my glyphs there. One more thing that I do want to touch on is your gems. Currently, this could change. Keep in mind that we're still in 6.0 and we haven't really taken a good look at everything yet. So everything is subject to change. But you want to have the austere tanking meta, which is 20 stam, 2% armor value, or the legendary meta if you have it. But I'm sure the meta in Warlords of Dreanor is going to be better, so it's not a big deal. Also, for your red slots, you want to go ahead and fill them with Strength and Mastery. And for your reference, Mastery is pretty much your #1 set that you want to go for. In yellow sockets, just go ahead and gem Pure Mastery like I did here. And going down, Strength and Mastery all in my chest. And further on, we have Crit and Mastery for blue gems. And again, you see Crit and Mastery, Strength and Mastery, and Pure Mastery. So that is how you are gemming everything that you would need to gem there. So try to keep to that model. Keep in mind that that's also not set in stone just yet. So we do have to do a little bit more theory crafting. So that's pretty much it, guys. That's essentially all I wanted to show you. I'm just going to leave it off by showing you kind of how the blood shields work. So I'm going to go ahead and get some blood stacks here. And then once I can get some stacks, just disease the target as well. Kind of just help out. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cast myself Death Strike. So Death Strike pops up my blood shield. It's absorbing 9k. And we're going to hit that again. So as you can see, it's absorbing 16k. So it's even more. You can see when it's on cooldown, I just hit Plague Leech, Blood Shield. And I reset the stack to 23k. And it just keeps going up and up and up from there. Just do whatever you can to reset that cooldown. So Plague Leech is great to reset that cooldown when you need to. And that's pretty much how blood shields work. So alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and get myself into a raid here, and then we can talk about our rotation and how to keep up threat on certain fights. Okay, so we're going to start off with a small example here. I'm going to start off with my fight with the Paragon of the Caluxy, which is the second to last boss right before Garrosh Hellscream. Now, the reason why I'm showing this is just to kind of give you an idea of what a Deathknight looks while AoE tanking, because we're a really good snap threat class. We can run in, have our diseases already on another target, just blood boil, start death coiling, death strike, and we're good. And one thing to keep in mind, and I don't necessarily do it here in this one, but one thing to keep in mind is really stacking your death strikes and stacking your blood shield. So what that means is essentially every time you cast your death strike, you're going to get a blood shield. And you can basically stack those up higher and higher to get a higher number. Now, it's really important to actually get the death strike off within the blood shield's cooldown before it's actually knocked off. So if that damage happens, then you obviously wouldn't avoid it. And you wouldn't be able to stack your blood shield. But on a boss that you can stack a blood shield, it's very important. As you can see, it's very important that you do stack that blood shield as much as you can. So this is basically what it's going to look like on a multi-target boss. You want to make sure that you're having your death coil up. Keep in mind that blood boil replaces Blood Strike and everything else like that. Other than that, your main threat abilities is Blood Boil, Death Strike, and Death Coil. So those are your primary abilities that you're going to be using. You'll see me bounce around between 1, Q, and E, and then sometimes 2. And that's because I have the Outbreak Glyph, and I use Plague Leech to not only stack my blood shields, but also just in general get more threat and more damage out, and also have that mitigation ability as well, where I can drop a quick Death Strike if I need to. So that's very, very important there. Okay, so the next boss here is Garrosh Hellscream. The reason why I chose Garrosh is pretty self-explanatory. He's an all-around fight, as well as he wasn't that great, but he's an all-around fight. He has adds, he has multiple phases, he's a single target, there's tank swapping involved, there's moving of the boss, and everything else like that. So I figured he'd be a good representation. And as you can see, you can kind of see my rotation a little bit more flush here because it is a single target. I'm looking more at getting the correct target here. And you can see all these ads. I can just instantly snap and pick them up. So it's really not a problem. For Blood Deathknights, it's really easy just to gain fast threat on every ad possible. And you're also a great cooldown tank too, just cycling through all your cooldowns to make sure you're mitigating the most within a boss fight. And also you have those snap cooldowns where if you really get in some shit, you can just pop one of those and be okay. And as you can see, I kind of failed a little bit, but you know, I'm in LFR, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, that's more or less the just common strategies of your rotation. It's really simple. You know, using those 3 key abilities, just making sure that you are stacking Blood Shield and managing your cooldowns accordingly is probably the best way to get everything done here. So that's most likely the best advice that I can give you while tanking a boss like Garrosh Hellscream. Thanks so much for watching the video, guys. Don't forget to like and comment. You know, give me your feedback on the video. Also, if you want to check out some of my other videos, I have 2 posted up right there. You can hit the random video up there, or you can go ahead and click on the next video. And guys, don't forget to subscribe. Really helps out my channel. Thanks so much for watching, and take care. Dun, 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 dun.